Yeah, I know a lot of people are talking about MAGA being a cult, and that is true. It has officially reached cult status. The wealthy that back Trump, the evangelicals, and the racists, and they all line up a certain way. And I'm going to try to break that down to you. A cult is these people cannot um, admit they were wrong, and they will defend anything this man says or does. What, no matter how cruel, no matter how uh, blasphemous, no matter how destructive, no matter how stupid, it doesn't matter. You know you are in a cult, or you know people are in a cult when they will defend any type of behavior. And that's what these people are doing. That's what makes them a cult. Their mindset is pretty much shot. And it is, it's sad for the church, where the Christian, the evangelical sector of what they believe is an actual church, which it is not. Those people, anybody who backs this man and his behavior or his policies, like they say, they are mentally gone. They are not there anymore. These people have lost all sense of reason, logic, any Christ-like attributes, compassion, understanding, wisdom. They've lost it. They are officially cult status. And let me give you just a few. I'm gonna go give just a few pictures here, just to show you what I mean. I'm gonna go back a little bit in time, because what's happening today parallels a lot of early American history as far as cult mentality is concerned. White supremacy is a cult mentality, especially in America, and I'm gonna explain that, because right now, white America, or the races, I'll say the racist white America, and who are also those back, the wealthy that back this man, and the evangelicals, these people are waiting. They want to turn back time, and they're following along. This guy is pulling back civil rights and human rights, voting rights. He's trying to bring it back to what he calls the golden age. And the golden age in America during that time was like right after Reconstruction, late 1800s, going into the early 1900s. This was a time of the wealthy, and this was a time of white supremacy power. And this is what he wants to do: take it back to that time. And these people that back him are following him blindly into this return, of time. But they don't understand how deep Satan has, especially the so-called Christians. They don't understand how deep Satan has deceived them. Now, right after the Civil War, there was the era of Reconstruction, where, once the slaves were freed, black people started prospering, building educational centers, and their own businesses. This was the time of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, and a lot of black men were elected. They gave them a chance to vote, and they were going into state legislatures and Congress. They were gaining power, and a lot of white people then did not like this, So what they did, they had to find a way to stop black progress, and they resorted to violence. This is when the Ku Klux Klan rose during the late 1800s, and they used the narrative as a way to stop this progress. They used black men. Actually, they made a movie called Birth of a Nation, and they used black men. Let me see if I can find that picture. The Birth of a Nation. They used this movie Woodrow Wilson showed this movie to Congress during the 1930s, I believe. But they used this as a narrative to stop black progress. And they portrayed this black man as a stalker, a sexual predator on a innocent white woman who was sitting on a mountain trying to enjoy, the view. And she was also beautiful and everything, but they had this black guy creeping around the trees and stalking her and watching her. And then they showed him try to attack her, and she fought him off, and she ran back to her husband and told him, and he gathered together a group of people, and they, to find this guy. And that was the introduction to the Ku Klux Klan and the so-called the first Karen. And that scene in that movie gave them a reason to fight black progress. And like I said, this guy showed, this movie to Congress. The president, Woodrow Wilson, showed this movie to Congress to indoctrinate them and to turn them against black progress and black men. So this mindset led to the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. And they were so-called Christians. As you can see, there are pictures, there are documents that testify to the fact that these men justified their behavior, their hatred, their violence against the black community using Christianity. This is a cult mindset. You cannot tell me this is not a cult. Look at it. These men hid themselves. These were store owners, hardware store owners, and they were people in the community, doctors, they were lawyers, they were police officers, police chiefs. They were just regular white men in the community, managers. And that's why they had their hoods on. This is cult mentality. This is cult behavior being justified using Christianity. So this mindset has resurrected itself, and I'm going to explain that. But you cannot tell me that this is not cult mentality. You just look at it. These men are cultic. They're demonic. Okay? They're violent. They're destructive. They're hateful. And they used that N word. They used it to hurt black people, to undermine their intelligence, to humiliate black people, and they still use it today. And look at the cross. I mean, this is not godly. This is not godly. And I say all of this, bring up this history to say that right now, the races of this country, this whole scenario played out again when Barack Obama took power. That was a threat to them. So they resurrected white supremacy and placed it behind this man, the president today. And they are waiting on this man to drop the N word, because that's what they want to do. They want to use it freely like it was used back then. They want to use it freely, and it's like a scale with a lot of dirt on it, and one side is weighing so heavy with so much dirt that just one nudge will tip the scale, and it would just flood society. So they're waiting on this man to use that word so everybody in society can start using it freely again. But if he does that, he's going to lose everybody. This is going to be his fall, because the wealthy people are going to run for cover, because they see now, wealthy corporation CEOs, they see now that once they lose support, they lose money. The evangelicals are going to run for the hills, because it reintroduces this cult mentality, this Ku Klux Klan mentality. It reintroduces that. And the racists, the MAGA base, they're the only ones who are going to follow, continue to follow. But they are going to, I mean, it's not going to last long, because people's children are going to start rebelling against their families, and it's going to get worse and worse. This picture here, let me just show you something at first. This woman is like the beginning of that stage I was talking about. This woman has no conscience. These people have no conscience, no compassion, no respect, no concern. They are demonic, and they use hurtful, evil, and mean, hateful words, like she did for this child. And she threw up her finger. She don't care. She don't care about the consequences. And they raise money for her, like they do every other racist bully. Like the Marine who killed the black guy on the subway for dancing like Michael Jackson. These people, this is a cult mindset, and it's retroactive to the cult mentality of the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacy. Okay, it's so cultic that, as you can see, they will claim Jesus, behind this kind of stuff. That's cultic. And the picture I was going to show you, this put it over the edge. This is blasphemous. He mocks God. He disrespects the Pope, no matter whether the Catholic Church is wrong or not. This is blasphemous, because there's an entire following behind the Catholicism. I mean, if he had done this with Muhammad and mocked Muhammad, there would be a holy war, because people are very sensitive to what they believe in. But this man mocks people, and this is completely egregious. This is blasphemous. It's sacrilegious. You just don't do this. But like I said, but people will defend this. They will defend it. His supporters will defend this with their lives, because they cannot admit that they were wrong. They won't admit it, and that's when you know these people are in a cultic society, a cultic mindset. Now, in that movie, The Birth of a Nation, like I said, they portrayed the black men as predators on white women. Okay, they know that the N-word is a word it's a sword, and it tries to cut deep and hurt black people and undermine them. They know that it's like a weakness. It's a power move that they use, but they have a weakness. This movie reveals their weakness. Their weakness, they fear black progress, and they fear black men being with white women. They fear it. It reveals, if you psychoanalyze this movie, it shows that they are fearful of black men in power and black men going after white women. But now white women are chasing black men. So this is their weakness. So God is so brilliant, because he has taken, he said, I'm gonna get together. I'm going to gather together all things that offend in my kingdom, the tares, and I'm going to root them out. I used a story out of the Old Testament years ago. I wrote about right before Trump was elected in 2016, that King Jehu, he said, he called and made a decree. He said, call together all the worshipers of Baal, and I'm going to have a worship assembly of Baal, the false god. Call them together, and let me know when they all get there. And they did. And then he knew who in his kingdom were idolaters. He knew then. And he had his soldiers go in and destroy them and their God. That's what God has done today. He has gathered together all things that offend against him. And this cult mindset is so blasphemous and antichrist. These people are antichrist. There's a contradiction in being a Christian, the wealthy, and being a racist. These are his top three supporting base: the wealthy, Christians, false Christians, and racists. And there's a contradiction, because you can't be a Christian and a racist. You can't be a serious Christian and wealthy. Okay? And you can't be wealthy and worship Christ, because you're worshiping you're an idolater. So what I'm saying is, God made a brilliant, beautiful chess move on these people. And now he got them in a corner. He has them in a corner. With this, he has them in a corner. And if they continue to follow this man behind this, you know that they in a cult. And but the overall, as I said, the cult mentality is one that will defend anything their leader says or does, no matter how evil it is. They're going to defend it, and they can't get out. They're mentally stuck. They're too prideful to admit they were wrong. What's going to happen is they're going to go back underground in shame and confusion, and they're not going to resurface. They're going to be too ashamed. But this so-called restructuring of the United States, this is spiritual. This is spiritual. God has gathered together all things that offend in this nation. And he's little by little destroying it, just like Jehu the king did. This is in the book of Kings, I believe, first book of Kings. I forget the chapter, but look up Jehu in the book of Kings, First Kings, and you'll see. But this mindset is a cult mindset. Okay, these people are in a deep psychological religious cult. All these supporters, and especially the evangelical church. People keep saying there's an antichrist that's going to rise. The antichrist. No. Jesus said there are many antichrists. Many will come in my name, saying I am the Christ. There are many antichrists. There's not one guy who's the antichrist. This behavior is anti-Christian. It's antichrist. Okay, that makes it a cult. It makes it a false religion. Okay, it makes it, just downright apostate, blasphemous, wicked. These are antichrist people. This is the antichrist leader, and everybody that stands and defends him and backs him are living an antichrist life. So, if I can think of anything else, I will bring it back. But like I said, today is paralleling history, U.S. history, right after Reconstruction. It's paralleling. They are afraid of black men in power and black men having their women. That's why they're crying about deportations and taking away natural citizenship, birthright. That's why they're being so cruel and hateful. And as far as the world market, the kings of the earth are run by Satan. Now Jesus controls the world, but the kings of the earth are run by Satan. These are not God's men. These are Satan's men. The scripture says it, that the kings of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of the fornication with the great harlot of Babylon. These are not God's people. He is one of the kings of the earth, dealing with the other kings of the earth. China, Russia, the Middle East. These are all men of, being controlled by a type of fornication, spiritual fornication, by the harlot of Babylon. But I'm going to go into something a little deeper on that. So, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. Peace.